This is another mountain story, and it used to be in the mountains, yes, here in Portsmouth, Suffolk, down here in Tidewater, Virginia, other places, everywhere, 100 years or so or longer. Monday was laundry day. Women all over the country on Mondays would get out their boiling kettles, would get out their wash tubs and their washboards, and they had to do laundry. Well, on a Monday morning, up in the hills up there, above town, Mrs. Suggs was doing what every woman was doing. She was getting out her boiling kettle, her wash tubs, her scrub board, her clotheslines, her scrub brush, and laundry soap. She had forgotten when she went down to the store the week before to buy a new bar of laundry soap. And so she called her son, Jimmy, come in here. And little Jimmy Suggs come running in. Now, Jimmy, he was a good boy. Today we'd be charitable and call him slow, but it was just common knowledge. He couldn't hold on to one thought with two hands. Couldn't do it. But he come running in and says, yes, Mama, what is it you want? Says, Jimmy, I want you to go down to the store for me. Yes, Mama. And he starts running out. Jimmy, come back here. What? Jimmy, what are you going to the store for? I don't know, Mom. What am I going to the store for? Jimmy, I want you to go down to the store and buy soap. Yes, Mama. Jimmy, don't you go anywhere just yet. Now then, here's a nickel. This tells you how long ago it was. It wasn't powder, liquids, or pods. It was a bar of laundry soap for a nickel. Here's a nickel. I want you to go down to the store and buy some soap. Yes, Mama. Now, Jimmy, before you go, what are you going to the store for? Soap, Mama. Right. When you get to the store, what are you going to ask Mr. Hutton for? Soap, Mama? That's right. And what are you going to bring back to me, Jimmy? I'm going to bring you back some soap. That's right, Jimmy. Now you go and get that soap. Yes, Mama. And so he starts running out the house and start running down the road. Well, I call it a road, but we have paved roads. This is up in the hills a long time ago, and it was basically an old dirt road, dirt track. And it had rained the night before, and so it was kind of slippery and muddy going down that hill. And Jimmy's running down the road singing to himself, soap, soap, soap. I'm going to buy me some soap, soap, soap. And his feet hit a muddy spot, and he goes sailing through the air, and he lands in the ditch. And he comes up trying to clean himself off, and he remembers he's forgotten what he was going to the store for. And he's thinking he can't remember what it was. So he goes back to where he slipped, and he said, there I had it. Huh? He walked to where he landed. There I lost it. I walked here. There I had it. There I lost it. And he's walking back and forth for a half hour trying to remember what he's going to the store for. Well, Mr. Clark had been down in town, bought himself some tobacco, and he's coming up the road, and he sees Jimmy walking back and forth, and he hears him saying, there I had it, and there I lost it. And he comes up, Jimmy, did you lose something? He's looking around to see what Jimmy might have dropped. What did you lose? And Jimmy is so distracted and so distraught, he doesn't even hear him. And there I had it there. Well, if you're not going to tell me what it was, Jimmy, at least let me go by. And he tries to get around Jimmy, and he hits that same slick spot, and his feet fly out from him, and he falls in the ditch. And he comes up, that mud is as slick as soap. Soap, soap, soap. But the thing is, Mr. Clark thought Jimmy was making fun of him. Says, oh, Jimmy, What's wrong with you young people today making fun of people like that? Now you say you're sorry and you won't do it again. Jimmy says, yes, sir, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. He says, now get on out of here. And he goes up. He's going to tell Miss Suggs how Jimmy was making fun of him. Well, Jimmy knows he has to go to the store. But now all he can remember is, sorry I done it, won't do it again. So he's running down the road singing, sorry I done it, won't do it again. This was not Jimmy's lucky day. Around the corner is Mrs. White. Mrs. White had been out of town. She had got flour so she could make a cake for the preacher. And on that road, she had slipped and fallen in the ditch just as Jimmy comes around the road singing, sorry I done it, won't do it again. Sorry I done it, won't do it again. And she thought Jimmy had pushed her in. And she turned loose of every sense she had. She got mad and she just grabbed Jimmy and said, threw him and said, now I'm out and you're in. And with that, she stomped off and she was going to tell Mrs. Suggs what Jimmy had done to her. Now Jimmy come up out of that ditch. He's going to the store, but now all he can think of is, I'm out and you're in. So he's running down the road singing, I'm out and you're in. I did say this wasn't Jimmy's lucky day. Well, around the corner was Farmer Jones. Farmer Jones had been into town to the sawmill, and he had picked up some lumber. He was building a sty for his new pig. And in his wagon, as he was coming up, the wagon load, the load had shifted, and one of the wheels had dropped off the road and into the ditch. And he was down in the ditch trying to get this wagon wheel back up on the road so he could go on home. And here comes Jimmy down the road singing, I'm out and you're in. I'm out and you're in. And he thought Jimmy was making fun of him. So, Jimmy Suggs, you get back here. What are you doing making fun of folk like that? You get down here. You help me. Yes, sir. So Jimmy is down in that ditch a third time. And he helps Mr. Jones get that wagon wheel up on the road. And he gets up there and says, I don't know what is wrong with you young'uns making fun of folk like that. Least you could have said was one's out, get the other one out. And he gets his mule going. He's going up and telling Miss Suggs what Jimmy had been making fun of him. I believe I said this wasn't Jimmy's lucky day. Well, pure disaster is waiting around the next bend in that road. Because coming up the road is old Seth Carroll. Now, I got to tell you about Seth Carroll. He was the hero of the county. Everybody revered him. You see, old Seth Carroll was a man, in his youth he had fought for our country, and he'd lost an eye in a war fighting for our country. And they thought so much of him, it was his Bible that they used to swear people on to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth down in the courthouse. Well, everyone treated him like the hero he was. But he's stumping up the road on two canes because he's all stove up with rheumatism. And here comes Jimmy down the road singing, one's out, get the other one out. One's out, get the other one out. And he can't believe what he's hearing. He thinks Jimmy's making fun of him. And he turns loose of every sense he had, just like Miss White. He grabbed Jimmy up, dropped his cane and grabbed him up, and he was shaking him. What kind of a person are you? Make fun of a hero who lost an eye fighting for his country. Oh, least you could have said was one's in anyway. And he turns Jimmy loose and he grabs up that cane and he goes stumped up the hill to tell Miss Suggs what Jimmy had been doing to him, making fun of him, the hero of the county. Jimmy, he just bawling like everyone's yelling at him and screaming at him and shaking. And he knows he's got to go to the store, but he doesn't know what he's going to the store for. And he's almost there. The only thing between him and Hutton's is the little creek that runs through the town down there and the bridge. And he's running down the road singing. The last thing he can remember was, one's in anyway, one's in anyway. But it's Monday and it's laundry day down in the town, just like up on the hill. And Miss Owens, is down there by the creek, got her tubs and everything, and is doing laundry. And she's got two little shirt-tail young'uns just dragging around her, playing around her. And one of them happens to fall in the creek. And so she's leaning over the creek trying to fish this young'un out, and Jimmy comes running down the road singing, "One's in anyway, one's in anyway." And she gets angry. Now, anybody says anything about you, well, Mama can say what she wants about you, but let somebody else say something, she will tear their head off. Well, she thought Jim was making fun of her children. She rears up like the mama bear she's about to become, but then she gets one look at Jimmy. "Jimmy, what have you been doing, boy?" Because he's standing there. I mean, he is in mud and dirt and filth. He's got tears running down his eyes. Everyone's been yelling at him. That is her heart. "Oh, Jimmy, you just go up. You tell your mama to go wash you all over with some soap." "There it is. Soap, soap, soap." He sticks his fingers in his ears. He goes running across that bridge into Hutton's store and says, "Mr. Hutton, I want some soap, soap, soap." "That's fine, Jimmy. You don't have to shout at me." Reaches up a long, bony arm, gets that bar of laundry soap. Jimmy hands him a very dirty nickel. And he hugs that bar of laundry soap to his chest. And he goes running, slip-sliding all the way up that hill. And he goes running to his house, to his mama, who's been waiting for him because she's been hearing all kinds of stories about him. But when she gets "Jimmy, oh, my child," she grabs him by his ear, about the cleanest spot she can find, takes that bar of soap, takes him out in back, throws him in her wash tub, and takes her scrub brush and that bar of soap, commences to wash him up one side and down the other, and then rinses him off in her rinse tub. And then she hangs him up by the straps in his old bib overalls. Jimmy doesn't get in any more trouble the rest of that day. And that's the story. Soap, soap, soap.